Hello and welcome to BSGcast. He's Matt, I'm Nat, and let's get started.
So this is a special off-season BSGcast for two reasons. One, we managed to get ourselves an interview with Katee Sackhoff.
Yeah.
And we managed to learn some interesting stuff about Razor, the upcoming Pegasus story, as well as season
What
4.
happened with her in Crossroads?
Yes, exactly.
Bunch of stuff.
In addition to that, we also have a mini BSP cast that we're going to do because this is the off-season, but one man and his team have been putting a special amount of effort into giving us some Battlestar Galactica story.
Something to keep us appeased until...
And some of you may know him as Stiff Jimmy. Others as Ryan. He and his team, consisting of Teresa, Dave, and Joshua, have been able to put together some
pretty cool story.
Really cool story. Now, the cool thing about this is it's a prequel, which, you know, sometimes sucks, but in this case, it doesn't. I'm really impressed with how he's doing this, and well,
it's really cool. I mean, this is, I guess, the finale of season 1 after 10 episodes of the story, and I guess the first thing I have to say, like when I started reading it, is the internal narrative that we get with this story is really cool. You don't really get that with watching the show.
Well, you can't get that with really any show without some kind of really serious film noir gumshoe.
Exactly. I mean, maybe like the dream sequences that they have could be considered like internal narrative. But anyway, Ryan's stories has this, I guess, a really heavy sense of internal narrative that's actually pretty cool. And the other cool thing is the fact that he has real military knowledge. So you know that the stories that he's making isn't coming from, you know, movies that he's watched or pulling out of his ass. He's, you know, it's legit.
Ryan knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And the other thing I like about this is you don't see any of the faces of these people, which is a bonus in print because this is a prequel. So if he wants at any time to surprise us, for all we know, the commander of the ship is Leoben.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know
Very
any of these characters are to look at them, which is really cool because there's a real sense of mystery there.
I was going to say, I didn't really think about it till the very end either. And it's really cool. If you read it, you'll see what we're talking about.
Definitely. The set pieces.
Oh, that's the other cool thing about in print. The fact that you don't really have a budget. So Ryan's been able to put an infinite number of ships in the story.
Absolutely.
And the fact that he talks about the Cylon homeworld and takes us there is pretty cool because
he doesn't have to show it, describe it, or ever really. He doesn't ever really have to be wrong about it because he doesn't have to. If Ronald D. Moore never shows this, Ryan's not wrong.
In fact, Ryan's the only one that has some sort of description of what the Cylon homeworld will be.
Which is very neat. And he's also invented a new villain, which, in addition to the Cylons, makes for some really cool storytelling. So if you haven't checked this out, you need to check out Prometheus. Battlestar Prometheus. We've got links all over BSGcast.com as well as on our MySpace account, which is turning into a bulletin board of its own. So there's all kinds of space up there. Take a look. You'll enjoy it. Trust us.
For sure.
And on to Katee Sackhoff.
Yes.
All right. This was a great experience. It turns out Katee is just a wonderful girl in person.
Cool.
She's about our age, so it's really casual.
And it was really cool getting to sit there talking to her because I was talking to this Matt. You see all the little expressions that she does at Starbuck in real life, like.
So when you ask her a question, she grins.
Like her
just
slow
for you.
Grin that she does.
Yeah, she actually does those. That's
real
Katee. That's not just Starbuck.
Or like
cool.
the slow blink she does when she's thinking. Real Katee.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's really
cool. So we got to ask her a few questions, and the first one we had to ask was about Crossroads, about the return of her character and what she can tell us from what she's done so far in the next season.
Nothing. Because I don't know. I've not been answered. As far as I know, I've come back and just started playing Starbuck again. And I know she's not. I don't know to what extent she's not. I don't know if she's alive, if she's dead, if she's, you know, an aberration, if she's, I don't know what she is. I have no idea. And they won't tell me. So they won't tell anyone. And we don't know who the final Cylon is. We don't know anything because they now know how angry I was last time having to keep that secret for so long that they just won't do it again. So it's good. So now I'm yelling at them trying to find out what's going on.
So we also asked Katee about the upcoming movie, the telemovie, if you will, the Pegasus storyline called Razor. And this is a prequel as well. This tells us about Pegasus, which is interesting. So it's not so much about the Battlestar Galactica characters, but she still had a lot to say about it anyway.
Before Maelstrom, and I'm in part 1 and part 2, but I'm only supporting in the entire thing. I think Trisha has one scene with one line in it. Mary had maybe 2 scenes. It was it was nice for us because we got to stay out and not work. We were told last year we weren't going to come back and start shooting until the end of May. And then they came back and at the last second shocked the crap out of everyone and said, oh, by the way, it's March. And it's March. Okay, wherever you are, come back. I mean, I was in Mexico, James was in India. We were all over the place. And they had us contracted, so we had no choice. And then when we got the script and I was like, I'm not in that page, yes. Yeah, like every page you're not in, you're going, thank God, thank God. And got to the end and I worked 3 days. So, out of 2 months of shooting. So that's how much I'm in it. So not a lot of the regular Battlestar Galactica cast is in it. So, but the girl that Stephanie, the girl that plays Kendra Shaw is really good and interesting to watch. So, and different. First Australian on the show.
We also asked Katee a bit about season 4, which of course we're all dying for, and basically wanted to find out how far along they were with the episodes and what kind of plots she could tell us about.
I just finished 5 and 6, actually shot both in one day. So it goes to show how much I'm being used this year. With my character, it's, you know, I mean, obviously she comes back and the first thought is that she's a Cylon. So, you know, what do they do to Cylons? They welcome them with open arms. So, you know, so it's, my character goes through a lot, and she learns who really cares about her and who doesn't. And then she will, in about episode 8, she will have some allies that are extremely unlikely.
So we couldn't help but ask about the conspiracy. Now, this was her character dying and only her, David Icke, and Ronald D. Moore knowing that she was coming back. So we had to ask her about the long conspiracy and see what her take on it was.
What's funny is the long conspiracy lasted 3 days. I don't know how it's been drawn out. I mean, the crew, there's a lot of crew that didn't know forever. And I showed up on Bionic Woman and they all went, okay, so I guess you're really not back. The cast found out 3 days later because I'd gotten a phone call. Eddie freaked out, called David Icke, told him not to show up on set because he's going to hit him in the face. Our DP threatened to quit. We had crew members going, well, if they're killing Starbuck, they're killing main characters, which means the show's over, so we should start finding new jobs. So I was like, this is these people's livelihood, what we're dealing with. And they're thinking that it's not secure. And this business is fickle enough. This is so unfair. So David Icke called me at home, and he was like, on a Saturday, and which is so odd because he never returns my phone calls anyway. And he was like, I really need to talk to you, like very serious. And he's like, so we got a phone call that you were crying on set. I was like, crying on set? No. Like, about what? And he's like, about dying. And I go, but I'm coming back. Why would I be crying? And he's like, well, you got people really upset. And I was like, David, 6 months ago when you told me that this was going to happen, you told me to sell it. I'm an actor. That means lie. And he was like, well, yeah, but you did too good of a job, Kate. Like, you just can't win with these people. Okay, so I said, you're going to have to tell Eddie because this is ridiculous. And I knew once he told Eddie that the cat was out of the bag and everyone would know. So he told Eddie, then Eddie within seconds, because we had a photo shoot that Saturday afternoon with the main cast for the Maxim photo shoot. He pulled everybody aside, told the main 7 cast members, and then that night had a dinner and told like everybody to number 15, and then no one else knew. So they never forgave me. They never were upset with me. They, in their opinion, because then I was like, well, if I'm in trouble for this, then I'm gonna lie again. And I was like, they told me I couldn't say anything. They, you know, I was like, but I was bound by confidentiality. It was this whole agreement. And so I kept saying I was bound by confidentiality. And in their mind, they thought I signed a confidentiality agreement. I just let them think that.
So that wraps up the first half of our interview with Katee, but there's more. We actually talked to her a bit about, I guess, her take of her character in Battlestar Galactica.
And a little bit more about Katee and not so much about Starbuck. So we really kind of get into who she is.
Which is actually kind of interesting.
It's fascinating, yeah. So we'll have that for you next week. And in the meantime, I hope you got a kick out of this one. And we'll be back with more, guys.